head back over to the mask tool, and I'll go ahead and choose that ellipse. I'm going to go ahead and snap to grid as well. And what I'll do from here is I'm going to go ahead and select the center here. And then from here, I can go ahead and select. So if you're doing it to where you're seeing, if you're doing like fantasy world, then you might want to have this much curvature on your curved horizon, right? Because it's a more zoomed out. So this will be the better choice. Hey, first time chatter, by the way, I'm glad that you're here. So if you're doing fantasy world, this much curvature would work better. If you were doing fantasy regional, more zoomed in, then you would probably see less curvature on the horizon. So a little bit about scale there, right? If you're using fantasy world, make it more pronounced. If you're using fantasy regional, less pronounced. So that's going to be helpful, right? So once I've done that part, I'm going to pick how much curvature I want, like this, and just make sure that it's centered. I think about that looks good. I want to have some room at the top up here so that I can have some things up in space, or maybe I want the mountains to be tall enough or whatever. So I'll do that. Then I'm going to go ahead and press add, and it's going to go ahead and it's going to create a mask with the add mode of the mask tool here. And what it will do is it will now be able to pick up different textures. And I have that nice curvature there. Now, you'll notice that the mask effects are on. You'll find the mask effects here. And the way that this works is that you want to have, let's see here, we'll go to enable mask effects right here, click here. And I'm going to go ahead and do this so I can remove that. Enable my mask effects. And you see all the different effects that are here. I don't want to have a black stroke. I want to have a white one instead. I think that will work a little bit better. So now you see I have that white stroke there. The white outer shadow works good, and the inner shadow being a little bit darker, I think that works just fine. We can keep those. Make sure to turn your ripple effects off, because the ripple effects will also be in space and not just the water below. So make sure you turn off ripple effects. But I think these settings right here will be fine. A white stroke and then the other default settings in the fantasy regional style will work just fine. Okay, so those should be good. I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of zoom in, take a look at it. So we've got all that working out. That looks fine. That looks good. All right. So the next step is to create the ocean below. And the way that this works is that there needs to be land connecting both sides of the canvas. Otherwise, you're going to remove the curvature. Okay. Now you can use a line to get the same effect, but you still have to fill it in with the add mode of the mask tool. Okay. So the next step is I'll go to the mask tool. I'm going to go to the subtract mode. With the subtract mode, I'll bring the size down, and what I want to do is remove things at the bottom part. So maybe like 4 or 5 cells up. So let's say that I want to create some unique kind of terrain. What I'll do is I'll go in here and just kind of remove it this way and go like this. Add some here. Let's go here, and let's maybe have some curve in here like this. And then we'll cut it off right about here like this. And we can add more as we go. I'm just putting things together. From here, we can also go over to the bucket, subtract, and then I can subtract this part. Now, a lot of it seems to be kind of missing here, and that's okay. We're going to go ahead and fill it in a little bit more. Like, I don't like how much I kind of cut off right here. That doesn't look good. And let's maybe make this horn right here a little bit more pronounced. Then let's put in like a nice little kind of arrowhead-like shape, like this. Just want to get the main landmass parts done. Let's make this a little bit bigger, about this size here. And then I'll show you how to do, if you want to not have the landmasses go from one end to the other. We'll show you how to do that. First, let's get to this part. And whenever you're making the landmass shapes, I just kind of use the edgy brush as a good start. And then what I'll do from here is it looks kind of odd. I don't really like the mask effect setting. So what I'll do is I'll just change the stroke color to be a little less pronounced by bringing it further into the gray. There we go. And now it's not quite as pronounced. That looks good. And I can go ahead and turn the grid off. I don't really need that anymore. So I'll just turn my grid off. Now that's off. That looks good. Let's go ahead and do a couple things here. First, I'm going to add some like smaller islands, because right now it just kind of looks like there's just this big chunk of landmass. There's no archipelagos, there's no small islands or anything like that. So we'll make sure to add those. We'll go with the edgy brush again. This time I'll go ahead and turn off the smooth and then bring the roughness down to 3. And then I'll bring the size of the mouse a little bit smaller, right about here. Let's go about 20. That was about the right size. And then I can go in and start adding in some islands. If you remove this part right here like this, by the way, someone's asking a question here. If you remove this part right here, you lose your horizon, right? So this is why this trick using the mask tool only works if both the land masses are connected on the left and the right side. But again, I'll show you how to fix that, but you have to give me a moment and I'll show you how to put that together, okay? So we're going to go in this, and whenever you're putting in your land shapes, we'll go back to the add mode here. I'm going to add some like archipelagos, some islands. So we'll start here. We'll add an island here. Yeah, don't worry, we'll get to that other part here, because I know that some of you are like, well, what happens if my landmass doesn't cover the whole thing? And I totally understand that. The only reason why I'm going with this one is because it's this particular trick using the mask tool, and it is a regional map instead of like a world map where you would probably see a lot more. So that's just the logic behind this. But I absolutely will show you the trick on how to do that. So first we'll go through here. I'm going to add in all of these little smaller islands with the smaller brushes here, and I can go ahead and delete things as I see fit. For now, I'm just kind of putting things together. We can even have some stuff be off screen. That's fine. Let's add a little island here. How I decide where to add islands is really just a matter of just being kind of random. You can use like a plate tectonics and stuff, but for me personally, I like to add a little bit of islands a little bit everywhere. And the reason why is because of transitions. For instance, when you kind of look at this piece right here, it just kind of has no transition between the land and the water. So adding little tiny pieces here and there kind of breaks it up. It's just kind of an element that I like to do. You can also use plate tectonics. You can use textures to choose your land masses. There's a lot of different ways to kind of go about doing that. That's up to you. So, but this is one of the main reasons why I like to add in the islands, not just for the realism part, but also because it kind of breaks up a lot of the transition between land and water, and I find that helpful. The other thing is too, is that when you're making the islands, I would have them conform to the land masses that are around them. You notice that this island right here is kind of conforming around the land mass next to it. Same thing here. I'll kind of move this and have it kind of conform to the shape. That way it kind of looks like it more naturally fits in that space because it's following the outline of the shapes next to it, so that way it doesn't look completely unrealistic. Otherwise, if you have it just kind of looking like this and you're not really following any shapes, it can look kind of odd. So it's helpful when you're making the small islands, wherever they may be, to have them fit to the coastlines that are next to them. That's just kind of helpful. Just a little tip there.